Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine. Willow Creek Springs presents
Hello and
Healthy Living
Healthy Living
with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Willow Creek Springs. I'm Joe Grumbine and I'll be your host. And I have with me a special guest. Her name is Trisha Osuna. Trisha, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So before we get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this annoying background. And for some reason, you're going to have to put up with what's really in our background. But look, you can see us. So we're actually real people without toupees on and without floating parts. And yeah, well, this seems to work a lot better. So Trisha, we just got through talking a little bit about the nature of the podcast, and we're here to talk about anything that has to do with healthy living. And shoot, I've known you now for what, about 4 years, 5 years, actually longer than that, because you came from the Rainbow
Probably
thing. That's probably about
17 or 18.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So
Yeah,
I met you worked with a CBD shop that we used to, Willow Creek Springs used to sell to. And we did a little bit of extracurricular stuff, health related, and then out of nowhere you popped up and actually at the time I was hiring, you actually came and worked for us for a minute.
Yeah, I did.
And when we were still working out of the house, and that was always interesting, working out of my house. That was a crazy experience.
It was, but it was also, it was interesting, but it also felt like more than just coming to work every day. Like you were good morning every day.
Yeah, it was not helpful for the business. I mean, it worked fine.
It did.
We made it work, but the point was I didn't give me a place to live. And that became problematic over time.
Yeah.
And, at the end of it, it was part of the learning curve, but you also got to see the company from the inside out.
Exactly.
And
saw it small and get very big.
All right. So anyways, the whole time though, you have been an esthetician.
Correct.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's a word that not everybody knows what even that means.
So an esthetician is a licensed professional that can do, in the state of California, I can do facials, waxing, lashes. Lashes are not my favorite thing to do, and I do not do those. But I do lash lifts. I do some brow services. But my main service that I offer is full body waxing, and I offer it for men and women.
Wax on, wax off.
And I have used CBD in my waxing, which most estheticians do not. It's not for everybody, but the ones that do get the CBD with their waxing all say that they have less pain, less ingrowns, better results.
So the whole idea of waxing is you're putting this sticky substance on the skin, covering up the hair.
Sticky. Yes, it can be very painful. I try to make it not so painful.
But you're literally tearing the hair out of the skin.
Yes.
So what happens when you do that is you're making these teeny little wounds.
Exactly.
Which now have to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's painful or not happening, it's still got to heal. So, applying something
afterwards
might be helpful.
Mm-hmm. And like, for example, like the first response is probably one of my best sellers. I use it constantly.
So that's a first aid spray that's got different herbs and I think it's got little essential oils. It's got some colloidal silver. It's got a little witch hazel. Just it's a antiseptic sort of a thing that helps to heal things up. So that makes perfect sense. I have one lady who I know that does laser removal,
laser hair,
and she was using the after sun treatment.
Because that's more of a burn.
It's literally burning it.
Yeah,
it's not the things people do to get their hair off, huh?
I mean, nobody likes hair except if it's on your head or your lashes.
yeah, and then you got all these guys with these big old giant beards walking around. So I don't know. I think it's a fashionable thing or
On your face is
Yeah,
appropriate. Everyone
right.
else, nobody wants it.
that's so funny. Yeah. Well, meanwhile, I mean, I guess there's only so many ways to do it. If you shave it off, it doesn't really cut that close and it seems to thicken up when you
And
do
it
that.
also, for most people, they get the really bad ingrowns. They can get sores. If
Right.
you're not throwing away your razors regularly, you can get infections.
Right.
MRSA, really
People don't
bad
even
things.
think about that, right? I mean, like personally, I'll use a razor for months and
It's not a good
but
idea.
I don't shave every day. I'll shave
Well, yeah,
every 3 or 4 days. And I'll use an electric razor sometimes. And
Yeah.
sometimes only once every week or so I'll hit it with the blade, but I'll use that blade for a long time.
not a good idea.
Yeah, all right.
Not a good idea.
I'll rethink that, I mean, these are all things.
Well, at least you have the first response on hand that you
Yeah,
can-
yeah, and I haven't gotten any
yourself.
mercy yet, but nonetheless, as we get older, weird things start happening.
Very weird things happen.
That's another thing to keep in mind, and that's part of what this show's about is, finding ways to keep yourself, when I say young, it's really just healthy. When you're born usually pretty healthy, you're
Yes.
resilient, everything that happens, you're like, shake it off, come back, and then as you get older, your recovery time slows down, everything seems to slow down.
Everything slows down and everything you're putting in your body in 20 years eventually starts to catch up with you. And even the sun,
Right.
you
Yeah.
can start getting wrinkles and age spots at the age of 18.
Well, it's really funny because the sun is a weird thing. Like we have to have it.
We have to.
And we have to have it, but there's a way to have it, a way not to have it. The problem that we have is, again, we're so conscious of the way things look, right? So when your skin starts to get this little caramelized brown, it looks pretty nice.
It's nice.
And you're
yeah.
like, oh, I like that. So I'll catch me a little bit more of that. But then you stay a little bit long and
Much.
and
You're
all of a
like,
sudden you get burnt. And then people don't realize what a sunburn's an actual burn. It's a radiation burn that really not good for you. Like
No.
really not good for you.
No.
And as kids, like, I mean, I grew up and it was
the
like,
baby oil.
yeah, there was, I mean, I didn't use anything, but I mean, I would never have used anything, nobody used only the lifeguards would put that white sunblock stuff
Only on their nose.
and some surfers would do that and they get but yeah, just on your nose. The rest of you is all fried and, whatever.
The
Just
shoulder.
yeah. And then as I got older, when I was in construction for a while, a lot of the old construction supervisors would at one point get a chunk of their ear taken off or a chunk of their nose taken off because they were out in the sun for 30 years and never.
And bad genetics. Too
Yeah.
much sun, not a good combo.
Absolutely. So waxing people, that's gotta be an interesting
It's definitely
experience.
interesting. I think people are afraid. They're afraid. So
I'd be afraid.
most of my friends are like, I can't let you see me naked,
Oh,
which is like,
for me, it's just the getting waxed.
oh, you'd be surprised. People are actually more concerned with me seeing them naked than me ripping the hair off of them.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
I
I get naked people all day long.
It's like going to get a massage. I mean,
Right,
pretty much you
right.
strip down to nothing and
Everybody has all of the same parts.
right. Well, and the thing is, like, you go to a doctor, you don't worry about it. Why? Because the doctor's seen everybody 100,000 times. Well, you would think it'd be the same with a clinician of any kind, right?
Yeah, like I'm a professional. I'm
Right.
not doing.
Yeah, you're not out of your garage door with I'll
Yeah.
take your hair off 5 cents. It's not Lucy out there trying to snag a few bucks, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm providing a professional service.
Right.
But yeah, it's all about being comfortable. At times it can be extremely painful, but once you start doing it regularly, your hair is growing in finer, thinner.
Oh, so it's afraid it doesn't want to come back.
It doesn't want to come back either.
So when you shave it, it seems to get thicker,
Right.
and then when you wax it, it thins itself out.
It thins it out because you're ripping the hair all the way down to the follicle. So
Yeah,
that follicle, there's
Takes more time to rebuild that stuff.
it does because there's 3 cycles of hair growth. So when it first starts, if it gets ripped out on the wrong hair cycle, it's going to take a long time for that whole cycle to restart again. So that's the nice thing about waxing is like you can have zero hair growth for like 4 to 6 weeks.
Really? Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So do you think, I guess this is just out of nowhere, because I hadn't really thought much about waxing in my life, but do you have more men than women, more women than men?
So there are not a lot of estheticians that like to provide a service for men.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with waxing men and seeing men completely naked. I do a lot of full men's bodies. There are not many estheticians that I know of in the area. So I'm in Marietta. I think I'm one of the only ones in Marietta that does it for
Okay.
men. They will do like the back.
Mhm.
But most estheticians are not, they're just not comfortable with men,
Yeah.
period.
All right.
They definitely won't do below the shorts for men.
Okay.
I will.
All right.
And then I also work with another friend that she owns Clubhouse for Men in Carlsbad.
Okay.
She specializes in men purely.
All
So
right.
her space is one that you walk into and it's neutral, it's not like my shop that I'm in right now. It's pink and flowery and very, very girly.
Okay.
Most guys don't want to walk into my shop.
Yeah.
So that's
I
also
feel a
why-
little outclassed.
I'm gonna be relocating and opening up more generally just a neutral setting. So not too girly, not too manly either, because I still have quite a bit of female clients. But lately, I think with the economy it's changing.
Right.
Women are not doing some of the beauty services that they used to be able to afford. I think men, if they want that service, they're going to get it. So I've had
Fair
a lot
enough.
more men clientele lately than I do women.
Okay. So I remember back when we were possibly looking at developing some products for you. Well, we did actually.
Yeah. Mhm.
But the nature of this, if I remember right, it's like pine sap and
Oh yeah, we did look into making actual wax with CBD.
yeah. So I mean that stuff is pretty thick and sticky though. I mean
It's
a real
definitely sticky and messy.
mess,
and
yeah.
Yeah. There's days where, I mean, I don't like to clean up a mess. So my whole goal of it every day is to not get wax anywhere but where I need it to get.
Be real careful, yeah.
However,
How do
there's
you clean that stuff? I mean, what takes it off?
alcohol.
Oh, okay. All right.
Alcohol and oil.
Oh, okay.
So, or the freezer works too.
Oh,
If it's on something that I can just slide it in the freezer, freeze it,
right.
it'll
And
just
it's just pop off.
break off.
Okay.
But alcohol and oil are my best friends.
Got it. So aside from waxing, what is it that what are the things that you're doing most of the time? I mean, if it's not waxing.
Facials.
Okay.
And I
So
have,
when people say a facial, like when I picture a facial, I think of, you're gonna lay back and get some kind of lotion smothered on you, or maybe some kind of a mask or whatever. What is a facial?
so exfoliating is gonna be the number one thing. We want to get all that dead skin off, all that dead skin that's built up. That's what you're gonna see, more wrinkles, the dryness. Your skin's just not gonna have that nice glow.
Okay.
A good exfoliation, obviously I'm going to wash your face off, exfoliate you, and then really a mask, and then lots of moisturizing. So I have a couple different serums I put on, some eye cream, and then lastly sunscreen.
Nice.
We've exfoliated all that dead skin off, and then we want to make sure you're protected once you go out.
So it's kind of a tune-up.
Very much. Yeah.
You go in, you get yourself debrided a little bit.
Yes.
And get moisturized and plumped back up, and then a little sealer coat, and then you're you're good for a little while.
You're good. Yeah. About a month.
Oh, I was gonna say, so people get facials once a month
Once a month is recommended.
Okay.
Well, that's what Betty White said. She said her secret was she got a facial once a month.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So in all of these things, we're working with people to help them improve their image. But with the facials especially, I mean, I don't know, hair is hair. I don't know, I don't think hair, having it or not having it, makes you healthier or not healthier. I mean, I guess hair collects stuff, and you could have hygiene problems if you have too much hair all the time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I do have some people that do it for hygiene, that they maybe
But
have.
generally, it's a vanity thing. I mean,
It's definitely, I mean, but also if you look good, you feel good.
well, absolutely. Well, and that's part of what I wanted to get into was, when we're talking about wellness, I think half of wellness is how you feel about yourself,
Exactly.
how you feel, right? That's your quality of life, right?
Yeah.
How you doing? What does that mean? How you feel? It doesn't
Right.
mean how are you actually. Like the guy that's just got his leg amputated might be having a great day because he didn't get his other leg amputated. I mean, I'm just saying,
How you look at things.
it's how you feel though. I mean, really, when it all comes down to it. And your attitude about things often has to do with how you see yourself.
Right.
And so, and it's interesting because like I know a lot of people who have really bad attitudes, and they're beautiful people to look at, except for their faces. They start getting a little bitter lines, if you will, the people that are,
Right.
the pretty people that aren't happy. And you can tell after a while, they get into their 30s and above, and you're like, wow, you think you've had a hard life, whether you have or not, who knows? But your facial expressions stick after a while.
Right. If
And
you're always looking like you're mad and angry,
Yeah.
you're gonna look permanently mad and angry.
yeah.
Like Karen. Have you seen like the memes for Karen?
Absolutely.
Where
Yeah.
her face is like
Yeah,
permanently mad?
exactly. They call it laugh lines, or I don't know if they call them frown lines or not, but
The 11s from being.
yeah. So I mean, but it's real, in the sense of if you could torture yourself for long enough, you'll be
It'll
able
stick
to
that
do that
way.
easier, and it'll be harder to not do it. I mean, it's just like
Well,
modifications.
I have, I do have some clients that have acne. So
Okay.
the CBD facials especially help with acne.
Okay.
But I feel like that is also, not only is it a sometimes dietary issue with the acne, and so a lot of it's talking about like getting more water in. And even with my waxing clients, I'm telling them nutritional things to help with their skin, so their skin is better. And it usually starts within, so it's not just.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. The skin's your biggest organ of your body.
It
People
sure
don't
is.
realize that it's not just a shell. It's actually it's a thing that does things, and
it keeps us completely healthy.
keeps the outside out, the inside in, and that's a little bit pass between the two. And I mean, that's really important. Like the inside
Right.
needs to stay inside, the outside needs to stay outside.
Right. Yeah.
And but it's
It's our
permeable.
protection.
Yeah, it's and it's layered too. And that's another thing, is as you get older, the layers between, or the lubrication between the layers of your skin gets thinner and thinner, and especially if you don't take care of it.
Exactly.
And that's why older people, their skin will tear real easy, or if you pinch yourself, it'll stay pinched for a while. I mean, those are all things that happen as you get older if you don't take care of yourself.
If your nutrition isn't kept up.
Yeah, we have a guest that's been on the show numerous times, Erin, she's a registered nurse, but she has a clinic in Idaho, and that's one of the things that she deals with is allergies and nutrition. And her point of view, it's really connected to everything.
Right.
And I think our diets are connected to all of our problems, and most people, especially in America, have not great diets.
Not great diets, but they're also not willing to change.
Well, that's what I'm saying, unless they want to. So if you want to, we have access to all the best foods in the world.
Right.
And we have access to good water. We have access to the knowledge of what to do. Like, if you're not healthy because of your diet, it's your fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah, nobody is making you live off of,
Unless you're impoverished and you really just don't have any money and all you can afford is the cheapest food. But even then, if you did it right, you could live off of beans and rice pretty well. And carrots cost a whole lot less than hamburgers. And so I'm just saying, you could totally eat well, even if you didn't have any money.
And there's plenty of, I mean, living in this area, a lot of people have fruit trees.
Yeah.
You can grow your own veggies.
I
grow them in your house now. They have the little tiny arrow gardens. I mean, if you really wanted to be really healthy.
I'm guilty of that. And once I discovered that, really growing food, I mean, I pick my own salad every day, just about. And there's nothing like it. Like you get
the freshest.
I mean, when you grow vegetables and fruits and you eat them, and then you go and eat the same thing that comes from the store or a restaurant, and you're just like,
not even close.
Oh no, I'm now spoiled, but I guess that's it's all about the same, knowledge and getting that knowledge to spread. I mean, that's really what this show's all about, is to get people to understand the value. And there's a lot of recurring things, like what about water? I mean, I think most people are dehydrated.
100%.
And like me, I'm sipping on coffee all day long, and it's not as dehydrating as people think. It's actually, if you do it right, coffee is a sustainable drink. But people drinking sodas and fruit juices and energy drinks and all of that, it's not just, it's the sugar and the preservatives and all the other stuff that takes from you much more than it gives you.
I like to say I'm like an investigator, because when I have a client that's coming in, they're complaining about this issue or that issue, and I'm always like, well, were you drinking last night?
Right. And then there's alcohol. I
can instantly see on their body, they're dehydrated.
Right.
I can tell them what side they sleep on.
Exactly.
I can almost tell them anything just by looking at their skin.
No, absolutely. And so, hang on, Bill, we're doing a show. Yeah, it's all good. You can hang. So I think that's another thing people don't even think about. Like, I haven't even really gotten into the damage that alcohol can do to your body. I mean, and anything in excess can do damage. So it's not just any one thing. I'm not picking on, I enjoy a beer now and again, but I'm not anti-alcohol. I just know that a lot of people abuse it, and generally it does a lot more harm than good.
Exactly.
And
not just to your skin, to your brain, to your
everything.
You don't feel good. You don't feel good the next day should be the biggest indicator. Like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Well, that's just it. Like, some things you do, you wake up in the morning feeling really good.
Right.
And then other things you do, you wake up in the morning feeling lousy. So that should be an indicator. Like, I just heard a thing. I listened to Dave Asprey and a lot of his biohacking techniques and whatnot. And I'm listening to his new book right now. One of the things he said was, how you wake up in the morning, how you feel when you first wake up should be your thermometer. And sleep is a big part of that. Right. So did you sleep right? That's a big part of healthy living, in my opinion. And I am an adamant sleeper. Like, I will get my sleep no matter what. And if I don't, I'll get a nap. I will get my sleep every day.
Yeah, I'm a good napper.
I
get it at night, but I'll get it during the day.
I will get it. And I know the difference, I mean, and I was one of these guys that when I was younger, hell, I, do all-nighters and do all the stupid things and never live off 3-4 hours of sleep, go. And then one day I realized that sleep was really important. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to get my sleep. Well, I don't get sick. I've gotten sick once in the last 10 years. And I attribute most of that to sleep, because that's when your body repairs itself, including your skin, including all of it, including all the things that, not just make you feel good, make you look good. The thing with your skin is it's another thermometer. Like
Yep.
if your skin is
Big.
haggard and pasty and flaking, or
What's going on the inside of your
exactly
body?
what's causing all that, when you see somebody that's really doing good, what do you say? You say, wow, you're glowing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? You see a recently pregnant woman, and she's just a picture of health, right? She's got not
Right.
just one life in her, she's got 2 lives in her.
Yeah.
And or more. But I mean, there's a saying there's a glow that comes from, somebody who's doing well. The counterpoint to that is something other than that, right?
Right.
Somebody who's not healthy, is peaked or pallid, or just, you're pale, or you just don't,
You just don't look good.
just
It's
don't look at you get sunken in. I mean, you think about the difference in how your skin can look. And you look at people that are going through cancer, you're going through people, and not
Yeah.
just the cancer, it's the chemo treatment, the radiation treatment, the
Poison.
poison that goes through. And then you look at what do they look like, right? And then you look at them before or after, if they recover,
Right.
and then you're like, whoa, it's not even the same person.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think all of these things. So when you're talking to people, I mean, how long does a session usually last?
Oh, I mean, depending on what service I'm doing, I mean, I can be done with somebody in 15 minutes, but
Mhm.
then I do like full body waxing. I could be with
It's gotta
somebody
take
for
a
4
minute. Yeah,
hours.
I was gonna say
I
that.
mean, I'm a
That
pretty
seems like
quick
a process.
waxer, so I'm
Yeah.
not typically with somebody for 4 hours, but
Yeah.
I have.
Okay. So, I mean, with a client, like some practitioners, there's a conversation that goes on throughout it. Like, I mean, I've had acupuncture, I've had massage, I've had different treatments, and or even Reiki or different things. And sometimes they're talking to you the whole time. Sometimes there's music going and it's totally quiet and you're just
Yeah.
in that zone. How's your sessions like?
Well, I joke because I say, when you come to me, you're gonna get a little comedy, you're gonna get some
Okay.
therapy, I'm gonna stretch you, and you're gonna leave hairless. So
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying to give you nutrition tips.
I was gonna say, so in that you're having conversations.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you have the
definitely.
ability to look at it, but it's in a moment. Like you're the bartender therapist, you get
Right.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour with somebody, then you may never see them again,
True.
or you may see them again
But
next
it's
month.
also like, it's also my job to let them know and kind of find out like their lifestyles really
Right.
quick, so that I can give them like pointers of, well, don't do this, or do this, or this is,
Mhm.
how to get them to take care of their skin, even if they don't come back to me.
Well, as always seems to happen, we run out of time. We just get started talking and all of a sudden
It's
the time is up. So
Yeah.
Trisha, why don't you tell everybody, number one, how they can find you? It sounds like, I mean, if I didn't not care about my hair, I would almost want to try it just to try it, but
we'll have to get an on air, just wax your back.
yeah, exactly. I'm up for a demo version. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is it sounds like you've taken something that by its nature would be fairly unpleasant, and you've turned it into
Tried to make it as painless and
yeah.
not
At very least a
pleasurable,
good
but-
diversion while it's all happening.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody how they can find you and where they're at and all that good
So
stuff.
I am on Instagram. My business name is Freshen Up by Trisha. FRESHEN BYTRISHA.
And that'll be in your bio
Yeah, I'll
anyways.
put it. Yeah.
So you'll be able to find it.
And then I'm in Marietta right now. But I have some big things coming up. So I will possibly be moving to Temecula in May, but everything I'll have updated.
We'll just update it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Trisha. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us. And we'll catch you next time on the Healthy Living Podcast.
My hands in the wrong direction.
That's all good.